Item number 7733. Index: the limits of plausibility. Level 4. Containment class: esoteric. Secondary class: thaumiel. Disruption class: dark. Risk class: notice. Special containment procedures: civilians are not permitted within 100 meters of SCP-7733, with toxic long-term soil contamination in place as a cover. Due to limited scheduling slots, use of SCP-7733 is limited to SVIC members. Image: SCP-7733. Entrance to Site-7733-B is visible in the foreground. Description: SCP-7733 is an electronic device taking up most of the interior space of a 2,700 square meter storage facility, Site-7733-A, located in Quakatok, Greenland. It is primarily constructed from electronic components commercially available in the year 1974, although it also includes a number of gold cathode semiconductor switches of unknown origin. Human operators may interact with SCP-7733 from inside a 10 square meter room, Site-7733-B, attached to the outside of Site-7733-A, containing a punched paper tape interface feeding in and out of Site-7733-A. When an operator enters information in either Danish or Kalaallisut describing a specific, real, or hypothetical set of conditions and a possible event that could occur within them, a query. After a period ranging from 5 seconds to 19 hours, SCP-7733 will output one of 3 possible responses. Notes: contact SVIC-083 for access to the SCP-7733 Operator's Manual. Time is not counting the act of feeding the tape in, which may take as long as 2 hours depending on the query. Additional data requested. SCP-7733 will specify information not included in the initial query. After the operator has entered this data or rejected the request, SCP-7733 will output another response. Out of bounds. Confirmation that empirically available data is insufficient to calculate the probability of the event, concluding the query. Note: this response is frequently, but not exclusively, given for non-ambiguously anomalous phenomena. Calculation complete. The calculated probability for that event to have taken place under assumed conditions of consensus reality, reported in units of Drustons (DRST) up to 3 decimal points, concluding the query. The Druston unit appears to serve as a unit measuring the unlikeliness of the event. In simplistic queries, it is seemingly based on a logarithmic expression of the probability ratio. It is unknown if this pattern still applies in queries where conventional estimation is not possible. Calculations over 200,000.000 DRST have never been observed, indicating a possible upper limit for SCP-7733's calculations. Operators may not enter a new query until SCP-7733 has concluded the current query, further limiting the frequency of use. SCP-7733 is able to store information from queries internally and will refer to it in replicated or similar queries rather than requesting information a second time. SCP-7733's methods of calculating or estimating probability, including the initial ability to interpret queries, are currently unknown. As SCP-7733 cannot operate when foreign objects are present in the same chamber as the components, very little is currently known about how the device functions, although the exceptional complexity of function and ability to operate over decades without maintenance suggests anomalous properties. Sampled testing documents translated. Query 7733-09. Query conditions. A single atom of thaumium-259 exists within a vacuum. Query event. That atom has decayed after exactly 1.5 seconds. Additional data requests. None. Query conclusion. Calculation complete. 1.003 DRST. Event outcome. Not tested in reality. Query 7733-23. Query conditions. A United States 1-cent coin is thrown into the air by research assistant Alea Cole from floor level in an arc approximately 1 meter high. Query event. The coin will land and settle on the floor with the head side facing up. Addition data requests. The position of Research Assistant Cole's hand while gripping and throwing the coin granted. The year of production of the coin granted. History of previous tosses of the coin denied, not available. The construction material and condition of the floor granted. Query conclusion. Calculation complete. 0.998 DRST. Event outcome. The coin landed with the head's side facing up. Query 7733-24. Query conditions. A United States 1-cent coin is thrown into the air by Research Assistant Alea Cole from floor level in an arc approximately 1 meter high in a replication of the previous query. Query event. The coin will land and settle on the floor with the head's side facing up. Addition data requests. None. Query conclusion. Calculation complete. 0.998 DRST. Event outcome. The coin landed with the tail's side facing up. Query 773-119. Query conditions. The weather of Mount Hood National Forest in Mount Hood, Oregon, location of AAP-1843R, is observed continuously every day for 12 weeks from a specific point within the glacial valley. Query event. A cloud formation with a strong visual resemblance to a member of the infraorder Anisoptera dragonflies will be visible each week on Thursday at 15:04 PDT. Addition data requests. Initial humidity, wind and atmospheric pressure granted. Weather forecast for the remainder of the 12 weeks granted. Location and angle of observation site granted. Query conclusion. Calculation complete. 15.83.776 DRST. Event outcome. A cloud of that description was visible each week at the time described and from the specific viewing point for at least 30 seconds. Query 7733-7057. Query conditions. Research Assistant Houston Carver will make a set of personal purchases at a grocery store using a debit card. Full grocery list included. Query event. Research Assistant Houston Carver will choose to take a purchase receipt at the end of the transaction. Addition data requests. None. Query conclusion. Out of bounds. Event outcome. Research Assistant Houston Carver chose to take a purchase receipt. Query 7733-12615. Query conditions. 5,000 randomly selected members of Foundation personnel are interviewed about their personal geographic knowledge. Full list of interview subject names and ranks included. Query event. All 5,000 interview subjects will fail to be aware of the existence of Yellowstone National Park. Note: location of AAP-40HS6. Addition data requests. Residential history of all 5,000 subjects granted. History of Foundation activity within Yellowstone National Park denied, not applicable. History of Foundation activity within 250 kilometers of Yellowstone National Park's borders granted. Query conclusion. Calculation complete. 60104.952 DRST. Event outcome. All 5,000 interview subjects expressed total ignorance relating to Yellowstone National Park. Query 773-51446. Query conditions. A juvenile English Mastiff is brought into a room containing an adult human and shown to that individual. Query event. The English Mastiff will change to resemble an adult female Border Terrier within 30 seconds after entering the room. Addition data requests. None. Query conclusion. Out of bounds. Event outcome. The English Mastiff changed to resemble an adult female Border Terrier in under 1 second. Thaumiel use policy. Image. Distribution chart of the Drusten calculations of non-replicated AAP. The current abnormality threshold of 47636.300 Drusten is represented by a blue-red color boundary. The Statistical Validation and Interpretation Committee (SVIC) is an independent internal organization of Foundation employees responsible for the identification and validation of ambiguously anomalous phenomena (AAP). AAP are defined as events of exceptional abnormality which do not obviously run counter to conventional natural laws, and which are therefore empirically indistinguishable from coincidences or series of coincidences. This category includes, but is not exclusive to, phenomena characteristic of many probability-altering, cognition and behavior-altering, and predictive anomalies. The SVIC must employ a minimum of 300 individuals at all times. The SVIC currently employs 393 members. Members are recruited through internal nomination and must include experts in the following fields.
Display expertise requirements.
Architecture, astronomy, astrophysics, cellular biology, chemistry, civic engineering, computer science, cryptozoology, decision theory, earth science, ecology, entomology, epistemology, fluid dynamics, geography, geology, history, linguistics, marine biology, mechanical physics, meteorology, mycology, neurobiology, nuclear physics, oceanography, optics, paleontology, particle physics, plant biology, political science, psychiatry, psychology, sociology, statistics, theology, zoology. The primary duties of the SVIC are: qualitatively categorize reported phenomena as non-anomalous, ambiguously anomalous, or unambiguously anomalous. Operate SCP-7733 in order to validate or re-verify the abnormality of AAP. Determine the numerical abnormality threshold at which a phenomenon is formally categorized as anomalous. The categorization and validation duties are handled by temporary subcommittees based on the fields believed to be necessary for understanding and describing the phenomenon in question, as well as providing additional data. The abnormality threshold is determined through majority consensus at mandatory meetings of all SVIC members held every 120 days in the conference hall of the Hans Egede Hotel in Kokotok. SVIC members active in subcommittees or meetings are exempt from all other Foundation duties. The internal organization and operation of the SVIC is otherwise determined by the members.
Display 95th SVIC meeting summary.
000000. SVIC 133 Consultant, Professor of Human Psychology, current SVIC Chair, takes attendance and formally commences the 95th SVIC meeting. 003833. SVIC 133 begins by announcing new or updated AAP validations. A total of 119 new AAP were validated, 49 below the abnormality threshold and 70 above. A total of 527 AAP validations were replicated, 512 remained within the same approximate range, 14, all already above the abnormality threshold, significantly increased, and 1 significantly decreased. AAP P16I3 associated with SCP-EX decreased from 44109.139 DRST to 30013.711 DRST after SCP-EX made 3 consecutively incorrect predictions, in addition to the 2 failed predictions prior to the 94th SVIC meeting. As a result, AAP P16I3 is now considered non-anomalous and no longer requires investigation, surveillance, or containment. Notes: SCP-EX is a 37-year-old male Galapagos giant tortoise Chelenoidis niger. The tendency of a Galapagos giant tortoise Chelenoidis niger, currently housed within Zoo, to correctly predict the winner of United States gubernatorial elections through the selection of labeled pieces of fruit. 004517 SVIC-113 restores order after an outburst from SVIC-316 excavation site supervisor and vocal conflict between SVIC-316 and SVIC-198 consultant, professor of economics and finance, following the announcement of AAP P16I3's updated validation and SCP-EX's consequently updated object class. 004843 SVIC-113 opens floor to statements by other SVIC members prior to voting. 005009 SVIC-198 receives the microphone and begins a prepared speech about the importance of defending consensus reality through a low abnormality threshold, possibly the same speech given during the 80th SVIC meeting, but is interrupted by outcry from multiple other members. SVIC-198 abandons their script and attempts to defend their successful proposal during the 94th SVIC meeting to lower the abnormality threshold from 4503.398 DRST to 44105.659 DRST in order to maintain AAP P16I3's category. 010326 SVIC-198 cedes the remainder of their time to SVIC-347 IT Technician. SVIC-347 formally proposes that the abnormality threshold be decreased to 43811.019 DRST, recategorizing 14 existing AAP as anomalous, and SVIC-198 seconds the proposal. 010559 SVIC-316 receives the microphone and presents a series of transparency slides comparing the rate of recategorization following the raising and lowering of the threshold in order to demonstrate the historical reliability of a higher abnormality threshold. SVIC-316 formally proposes that the abnormality threshold be increased to 47636.300 DRST, recategorizing 5 existing AAP as non-anomalous, and SVIC-284 Telescope Technician seconds the proposal. 012840 SVIC-038 Actuary receives the microphone and attempts to show a presentation relating to the financial impact of recategorization, but cannot retrieve the necessary files from their flash drive. SVIC-038 formally proposes that the abnormality threshold remain unchanged, and SVIC-110 Consultant, Adjunct Assistant Professor of Theology seconds the proposal. 015301 After no other proposals are presented, SVIC-113 formally opens the voting period. 021545 Voting closes, and votes are taken to be counted. 024603 SVIC-113 announces the result of the votes. 209 members abstained. SVIC-038's proposal received 14 votes. SVIC-347's proposal received 71 votes. SVIC-316's proposal received 99 votes. The abnormality threshold is officially increased to 47636.300 DRST. 025130 SVIC-133 announces updated categories of AAP affected by the change in abnormality threshold. AAP-99FAL, the above-average tendency for humans aged 33 to die from accidents within the town of 45013.345 DRST associated with SCP-EX is now considered non-anomalous, and no longer requires investigation, surveillance, or containment. AAP-BR0P1, the regular appearance of monarch butterflies, Danaus plexibus, in the chapel of. During Easter services, loosely correlating with attendance. 47144.43 DRST associated with SCP-EX is now considered non-anomalous and no longer requires investigation, surveillance, or containment. AAP-F35T0, the above average frequency of human deaths and injuries due to clear air lightning within. Valley 46339.099 DRST associated with SCP-EX is now considered non-anomalous and no longer requires investigation, surveillance, or containment. AAP-J4J02, the above average rate of fossil discoveries attributed to Professor Winslow. 46099.203 DRST associated with SCP-EX is now considered non-anomalous and no longer requires investigation, surveillance, or containment. AAP-P33A9, the above average frequency of lethal attacks by Anatidae, ducks, geese, and swans on human children within. County 47591.984 DRST associated with SCP-EX is now considered non-anomalous and no longer requires investigation, surveillance, or containment. 030315 SCIC-133 formally brings the meeting to a close and dismisses all attendants.